Okay, so caring for your caterpillars. Just ensure, like I said before, every day you're putting in fresh stinging nettles for them to eat, because this will enable them to get all the water that they need. They're going to go through a few different stages, so you might find for maybe sort of 5 days they're just constantly eating, crawling around a lot, very active. And then you might notice that suddenly they all kind of disappear and get very kind of docile, almost like they're a bit sleepy. Nothing to worry about at all. Basically what they're doing is actually shedding their skins, because they've eaten so much they need to grow. And in order to grow, just like a snake, they need to shed their skin and then get bigger. So for this period, they kind of all go into hiding in the nettles, and then they just slowly shed their skins and get a bit bigger. And then when they're ready, they'll quickly start munching again and moving around. After they have shed their skins will probably fall down to the bottom of the container. Sometimes this can look a little bit like a caterpillar, but if you just look closely, you can probably see that it's just their empty skin that's been discarded. So it's important to clean the container every now and then, probably every week or so, or just when you notice it's getting a bit dirty. There'll be lots of black droplets on the bottom, which is basically their poop, and it is good to just clean that out every now and then to give them a nice clean environment to feed in. And when you're doing that, I normally just get another container, a big bowl or something, and just transfer everything into the separate bowl, put a tea towel or something over it so they can't escape, clean out their area, and then pop them back in. Just make sure, you've got a twig or something, or a piece of tissue or something like that, in case they do try to escape. They're not hugely fast, but once they start crawling, they can get out of sight. So just keep an eye on them and make sure none go wandering off. Once you have your caterpillars, they will probably take about 3.5 to 4 weeks before they actually are ready to turn into a chrysalis. So they're just basically going to be constantly eating for that period, shedding their skins, getting loads of food to get them ready for the transformation into a butterfly. And here you can see one of the caterpillars pretty much fully grown. So yeah, after about 3 or 4 weeks, you can expect to start seeing them anchoring themselves to bits of the twig, and sometimes they actually use the stinging nettles as well. So it's important to keep maybe a little bit of a diary and monitor how long you've had them for, because after 3 weeks you do need to start expecting that they're going to start the transformation. Do keep giving them fresh nettles, but just be bit careful of taking old nettles out at that point, because some of them might actually be using them to anchor onto to turn into a chrysalis. So just keep a close eye on that, and just make sure that they've got enough room, enough things to anchor onto, and still enough food as well. You will find that once one caterpillar has started to chrysalis, all of them will follow, and within a few days pretty much all of them are going to be in the chrysalis stage. I don't know how they know when it's time, but they seem to just do it, and pretty much all together is when they do it. At this point, when they're all in their chrysalises, what I sometimes do is I put a little bit of soil in the bottom of their container just to keep it nice and moist, because we want a lot of moisture in there. We don't want their chrysalises to get too dry. So you could even put like a little pot or ramekin or something in there with soil in it, and then just every now and then if you just wet that soil with water to keep it damp, and it gives them a lot of moisture, which is what they need when they're developing into a butterfly. And again, yeah, it's just really important when they're at the chrysalis stage that they do not have any direct sunlight at all, because that will kill them. So just make sure they're in a nice, cool place, but a place which does have natural daylight, so that they can experience the same, day and night cycle that they would in the wild. Once they have fully formed into their chrysalis, it will normally take about 10 to 14 days before they start emerging as butterflies. They will wriggle around a bit as well, so sometimes you'll see the chrysalises moving. That's perfectly normal. It's just them in the transformation process. But important just to keep an eye on them, check that there's a lot of moisture inside their container, and checking that none of them have fallen to the ground. If any do fall off, it doesn't happen often, they're normally pretty good at anchoring themselves on, but if they do, it is quite tricky. But what you can do is actually get some glue, maybe even a tiny little bit of super glue, and just put it right on the tip of the chrysalis, and you can actually glue it back on, which will help it a lot, because if it is sideways on the ground, it will be very difficult for the butterfly to come out afterwards. If you're not confident doing that, then you can just leave it on the ground, but it is worth trying to glue it back on if you can, because it is important for them to be in that hanging position when they're ready to hatch. So once they've turned into their chrysalises and about 10 days have gone by, it's important that you do pay close attention and check on them every day. I have found that they normally actually hatch in the morning. You rarely get any hatching overnight. It seems that they can almost tell when it's daylight, and that's when they prefer to hatch. So you might come downstairs in the morning and find one has actually already hatched. It's important that if one has come out, that you release it into the wild in 4 hours, as soon as possible, as soon as you see it, really. If you put it outside, just put the enclosure outside and take the lid off, and it can freely fly out when it's ready. Normally what it will do is it will hang around for a little bit and pump out its wings. It will pump blood into its wings, so its wings will expand so that it's ready to fly, and when it's all ready, it will take off. And yeah, you can see here there's actually a butterfly starting to emerge from its chrysalis. You can see there, it's slowly pushing itself out. It's amazing to think that that was a caterpillar when it went in. And now you can see that beautiful orange colour of the wings coming out as it emerges. Amazing. And slowly getting itself out. And there we go, it's out. You can see its wings are all quite small and folded. It's because there's no fluids in them yet. So the butterfly just has to hang around a bit while it pumps the fluids into its wings, expanding them so it will be able to fly. You can actually see behind it to the right, there's something that looks like a severed caterpillar's head. It's actually its skin. So when they go into the chrysalis, they shed their skin one last time, and that's just the remains of its skin. Just look at that. It's just amazing, the transformation, how a caterpillar can turn into something so different. And yeah, you can see one here that's recently hatched. Still inside the container. And you can see how it's starting to shake its wings, so it's pumping the blood and fluids into its wings to give it strength and expand them fully so that it can fly. So then yeah, we just get outside and get ready for it to fly away. So thank you for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope it inspires you to raise some little tortoiseshell butterflies of your own.